So, this is something I think about a lot. It always comes back to one simple thing that most people aren't thinking about me. Not in a negative way, not like I don't matter, but because, in a sense, that I'm not the center of anyone else's world. And that's kind of a relief. I used to carry this idea, maybe a lot of us do when we're young, but it's something that feels like every move I made was being observed. Like there was always somebody noticing and judging me and remembering me. But the more I slow down and really look at the way life really works around me, the more I see how everyone else is really busy and just trying to make it through their own day and just being themselves while maybe doing the exact same thing. So it's like you're not being watched like I once thought I was. And then it clicked and I felt better. It's still something I think about a lot, though. Yeah, I still do. I can't spend how or count how many hours I'd spent just overthinking that when I was younger. I'd replay the conversations in my head. Did I come across? Did I come off the right way? Did I talk too much? Was that joke awkward? Did they like me? Sometimes I'd even sit on some things for days, obsessing over how I might have been perceived. And that obviously gets exhausting. But the wild part is the other person probably forgot that moment with me quickly, maybe within an hour or shit, maybe even 5 minutes, because they're doing the same thing I'm doing, caught in their spiral. Thinking about how they came across and how they sounded. It's like we're all trapped in our own little mirrors, and nobody's really watching anyone else that closely. We just we think we are, but an example like how I always felt like I was being watched is it was in really really casual situations, like at the grocery store or just walking to in a room. There was a sense that all eyes were on me. Something one time that really sticks out in my mind was just a school dance. And I remember I was with my girlfriend. I just kept grabbing onto her hips because I was really nervous. I wouldn't admit it at the time, or probably didn't even know it. But I felt like everybody was looking at me, and nobody would care. Like a sense that all eyes were on me, and like I was performing, even though I didn't want to. Like I had to carry myself in a certain way, or someone would notice that if I slipped up, if I messed up. But people weren't even looking. It was they're all in their own heads, worried about their own stuff. That imaginary spotlight that was following me around, it was never real. Maybe deep down it was just a fear. Why would I say that? Fear convincing me that I had to be perfect in some way, that I couldn't mess up or look out of place or just screw up. But now I try to remember that nobody's watching me like that. Because it still kind of feels that way sometimes. I'm just one person in the background of everyone else's life. That's why I got out of social media too. Social media made it worse for me. I think deep down that same neuron or whatever made it worse for me because it feels like everything is being observed there. Like every post, every picture, every word, Everything you say, it's up for review. I hate that these days. Everything is, do you like it? Thumbs up. Do you not like it? Thumbs down. Who cares? The dislike button isn't connected to anything. Why is it there? It's stupid. I mean, very few people, I think, really care how many people dislike something. And it doesn't affect much anything, right? Anyway, I would sit there staring at that post button, wondering what people would think. Would they like it? Would they get it? Would they judge me? But most of the time, I would look at the other end. On my side, most of the time, people, they just scroll. They're just scrolling. They're not studying it. They're not over analyzing my witty caption. They're probably just bored on the couch looking for something to distract themselves. My post was just a little blip on the scrolling on the feed, gone in seconds. But still, I would put all that pressure on myself to a degree. It was completely unnecessary. There's this weird kind of peace in realizing that I'm not the center of attention. I don't mean that in a sad way, like I'm invisible or anything. It's more like I'm free. I don't have to constantly be on. I don't have to apologize for just being a human being, a boring human being half the time. I don't have to impress anyone, you know. I can just exist with all my weird quirks and flaws and just be at peace with where I mess up and I go wrong. People don't care that much. Nobody's tracking those things the way I am. Nobody's keeping a file of my awkward moments. So since nobody's keeping a file of them, I thought I can let them go. You know, say I said earlier that people, they forget really fast. Even the parts that were embarrassing, they just disappear in other people's minds. You know, at first I didn't like the whole idea, but maybe think, does that moment even matter? But now I see it differently. It means I got a fresh start all the time. No single version of me, because there's many versions of all of us, doesn't necessarily stick forever. That I'm not trapped in some odd, awkward interaction or just a bad day. People forget, and we all should be really grateful for that. You know, it's like a soft reset button over and over and over. I mean, the less I try to be impressive, the more comfortable I am. When I stop trying to say the right thing, stop trying to read people's minds, stop trying to be trying to be what people that I think they want, I feel more real, more honest, more like myself. But yeah, not everyone's gonna vibe with that version of me. But I'd rather be disliked for being real than liked for being fake. It's nice to let go of the performance. It makes space for actual connection instead of approval. So yeah, most people aren't thinking about me. Not because I'm not worth thinking about, but because they're human also. They've got their own stuff, their own lives, their own worries. And knowing that takes a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to carry every moment like it's constantly being recorded. I don't have to obsess over how I look, how I sounded, how I came across. I just show up as I am. I do my best. I screw up sometimes. I be quiet sometimes, a lot of times. And I just keep going. Well, that's all I really want to share. Just something I keep reminding myself lately. It helps me feel a little more grounded, a little more centered, a little less tense, a little more like I can breathe. And this one I think I'll make public because maybe there's someone out there that needed to hear it. And I'm glad you're here. All right, journal. Later.